What is going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 2 of Rugby for Football Fans. And I think I saw some of your suggestions in the last video for the title of the series, and I think for now I'm going to stick with Rugby for Football Fans, just because, you know, there were some creative, you know, options, but I think I just want to, like I said in my episode 1, I just want to keep it straight to the point, and I want to make sure that if somebody's searching for something like that, you know, I want all the words that I sort of want to be in the title. So yeah, here we go. Episode 2, the basic rules. And I wasn't going to do the basic rules in episode 2, but because of the amount of comments that you guys left in episode 1 in Jonah Lomu, then I thought that, you know, what, it's cool to appreciate all the legends and everything like that of the game, but it's pretty useless when you don't really understand the basic rules and just the general objectives of the sport. So in this video we'll go over that, and to start off with, I pulled up a picture here of the difference in size between an American football field and a rugby field. So you've got the American football field here on the left, so it's about 48.2 meters wide, or 53.5 yards wide, and then over here on the rugby field it's almost 70 meters wide. So the rugby playing surface is quite a lot bigger. But then again, you've got 15 players on each side in rugby compared to 11 in American football. So yeah, more men on the pitch, obviously more room needed. And yeah, if you just wanted to go over, you know, go over some of the other measurements, I think it's in Italian, from what I can see here. I don't know why it's just on an Italian site. It's the best sort of, you know, comparison I could find. But yeah, I mean, you see the posts there, they're almost identical, maybe a couple of like centimeters, or yeah, they're like a couple of inches different, but nothing much other than that. But anyway, if you're kind of confused by all the markings here on all the on the rugby field, I'm about to watch a video with you guys that really explains everything in a very simple manner, and also kind of has illustrations and drawings of everything to go along with that, so it's also a visual thing for you guys. So let's check that one out now. It's on a channel called Per Retera, so I suggest you go and check out their channel. It looks like they've got a few good videos on there, just briefly explaining different things. Yeah, so we'll get straight into this one. This is Rugby for Beginners. So this is like ultra beginner stuff. This is like everything you need to know, really, to get you started.
Rugby is becoming more and more popular. But if you don't know the rules well, how can you follow a game on television, for example? This 10-minute animation will show you what rugby is all about, so you can have more fun when watching a game. You play rugby in a sports shirt, shorts and boots with studs, and you wear a mouth guard to protect your teeth. The ball is an oval shape and looks almost like an egg. Because rugby is a British game, there are a lot of English expressions. To make it a bit more complicated, there are 2 versions of rugby, Rugby Union and Rugby League.
If you guys want me to go in depth in Rugby League, I can also do that for you as well. In fact, I would probably say Rugby League is a little bit more closer to American football, whereas you basically got 6 downs to score a try at the other end before you have to kick it back to the other team. So it's a lot more streamlined, a little bit, you know, sort of stop-start like American football, rather than non-stop action like Rugby Union. So yeah, if you guys are interested, if I get enough interest in Rugby League, you know, I can go into that for you as well, and I can definitely you know, show you some legends of the game and stuff like that, because it does have quite a rich history. Yeah, so we'll get straight back into this.
This film is about Rugby Union, the most common type of rugby played.
Most popular, yeah.
The pitch is about the same size as a football pitch.
She means soccer, because she's from England, so not an American football pitch. It's much bigger.
On the pitch there are a number of lines. We start with the halfway line.
Yep.
From this line, the game is started or restarted after someone has scored. Next is the 10-metre line. After the kick-off, the ball must cross this line.
So basically like a restart or a kick-off, or like an onside kick in American football, that's instead of 10 yards, it's just 10 meters, and the ball has to go over that line. on any kickoff in the game has to go over that line.
Then there is the 22-metre line. This line marks the defence area. Next is the try line or goal line.
That 22-metre line, there are a few things where like a penalty might happen and you have to drop kick the ball off that line back to the other team. It's kind of like a punt return or whatever like that. But it's also kind of marks like the red zone. Like if you're within the 22-metre line, you're in the opposition's red zone. It's kind of like that.
Behind this line, you can score a try. Also along the goal line are the rugby posts, 2 vertical posts and a crossbar. The last line is the dead ball line and marks the end of the field.
Or the end zone.
On the sides, you find the 5-metre line and the 15-metre line. During a line out, the players must stay between these lines. A game is 40 minutes each way and has a half-time break of about 5 minutes.
You just heard her say that you have to stay between those 2 vertical lines and a line out. If you're wondering what a line out is, they go into detail shortly.
A rugby team has 15 players. 8 of them play forward. These players form the scrum and the line out. Okay,
so these guys, if you could relate them to football, are pretty much like in defense they'd be like your D line and your linebackers, and in offense they'd be like your offensive line and your tight ends.
And do the more heavy work.
Or fullbacks.
Next, you have 5 players who do most of the fast running.
Yeah.
They are called the 3/4. One player is called the scrum half, and they connect the forwards with the 3/4.
And so these guys here, the backs, they are kind of like your running backs, your quarterback, your wide receivers, and all the skill positions basically.
And the last player, right at the back, is the fullback.
Okay, now the fullback is kind of like a mix between a return man, like a punt returner and a kick returner, and also a free safety in defence. He's like the last line of defence, and he also needs to be one of the best kickers on the team, have one of the biggest kicks, because they often have to kick out for territory, or to push the other team back down the field. And he also needs to be usually quite agile and have good jukes and be very fast as well.
You play rugby with your hands and feet. Most of the time you hold the ball in your hands. But rugby is a team sport, so at some point you have to pass this ball to your teammates. If you pass, you are only allowed to throw backwards. And you do this mainly by performing an underhand throw. You may pass as much as you want. When you kick the ball, you are allowed to kick the ball forward so you can gain territory.
So you'll notice these guys here are playing backwards to go forwards. Quick out of the hands, bang. Draw the defender in and pass it out.
There are several ways to score points. The most important way is to score a try.
Or a touchdown.
You score a try when you place the ball on the ground behind the goal line of your opponent. For this, you score 5 points. Because you scored a try, a member...
Okay, sorry, so they say that they're about to go into the kick, or the extra points, which is 2 points. So if you see down here, where the guys put the ball down, they don't actually explain it in this video, so I thought I was going to pause it here and explain it to you guys. If he puts the ball down there and scores a try there, he then has to take the ball in a straight line back as far as he wants. It can be anywhere as far as he wants, but remember, if he just took it like here, the angle would be very, acute for the posts. So they usually take it back a little bit past the 22-meter line, and that he would have to kick it from a directly vertical line back from where whoever scored the try put the ball down in the end zone. So if he gets a try right out here on the corner by the sideline, he has to bring the ball right out back to here and then try and kick the 2 points, the conversion or the extra points kick for 2 points from the sideline, and then the same happens on the other sideline as well. So that's why it's quite you know, there's a bit of tactics in it. Even when you're defending, you know, you want to guard your posts, because there's a big chance that they could miss the kick if you push them out wide if they're going to score. If they're putting enough pressure on, you know, out on the sides, then, you know, yeah, it's much better than them coming in and just scoring right underneath the post there, because then it's basically just a given. They just take the ball out, you know, like 10 metres or so, and just whack it over, easy, 2 points done. So yeah, it's kind of like an extra point in American football. It's almost always just straight out the front if it's underneath the posts. So yeah, what these guys have to do with kicking is pretty insane.
Your team may now kick the ball between the 2 vertical posts and above the crossbar. This is called a conversion. This is an extra 2 points, so together you score 7 points. If the referee awards you a penalty kick, your team can choose between starting the game again or kicking the ball between the posts. If you should score, your team is awarded 3 points.
Okay, so the penalty, if you get a penalty for whatever infringement, it usually depends on where you are on the field, and also like what time of the game, like, you know, how far along the game has gone. So if you're close, like if you're in the opponent's half and you get a penalty and it's not like right out on the side of the field and it's kind of generally in the middle area, most teams just go for the 3 points, for the 3-point kick. It's kind of like a field goal, except it's not happening at the end of 4 downs, it's happening because of a penalty. And then the other one, like she said, is you can just restart the game if you want, where you just tap the ball with your foot and then you just start running and playing the game again, like nothing happened. Or you can choose to have a scrum. So, and they get into the scrum in a second.
You can also get points during an attack by performing what they call a drop kick. You kick the ball between the posts, scoring a drop goal. This is also worth 3 points.
So this is a try. Passing it backwards to go forwards, backwards, nice out of the, that was a beautiful pass there at the end. That has some heat on it. Penalty kick. That'll be about 50 yards. Straight down the middle. Drop goal. Yeah, man, these are tricky. You don't see these too often, but only usually towards the end of the game. Nice. Very, very hard to pull off.
Suppose you throw the ball forwards, or you drop the ball and it moves forward.
What
In both cases, the referee will indicate that a scrum must be formed. A scrum is a restart after a foul such as this. The forwards of both teams stand in a specific formation against each other, as you can see in this view from above. Next, the scrum half throws the ball exactly in the middle of the scrum, and both teams start pushing as hard as they can to get possession of the ball.
Yeah.
At the same time, they use their feet to move the ball backwards. While the ball is in the scrum, you are not allowed to touch it with your hands. When the ball comes out of the scrum half passes it to one of the waiting players, and the next attack begins.
Yeah, it's much easier when you see it done like this. It's got a lot to do with weight as well. Like, they've got pack weights. Often the heaviest pack wins, but I mean other times it's all about technique as well. And a lot of teams, like a lot of good teams, you know, there's some teams who are like really known for their scrums, you know, and they come like with a real strong scrum game. There's other teams that are really good at like you're about to see here is the line out. You know, there's other teams that are like good at, you know, other certain things, and they might be really bad at the scrum, you know, so it's kind of like all these teams have different strengths and weaknesses in certain areas. So it doesn't generally have to actually do with the skill of the player. It's just like, you know, as like a team thing, it doesn't quite sort of come together.
Of course, the ball can go out of touch. If the ball is out because it's kicked out, or because a player holding the ball is tackled and falls across the touchline, or if the foot of a player holding the ball is on the touchline, the game will be restarted with a line-out. To form a line-out, the forwards of both teams stand in separate lines between the 5 and 15 metre lines.
Yeah, those are those 2 vertical metre lines that went up and down the field that you saw before. Also, the difference between American football and rugby is that if you're holding the ball and you step out of bounds, the ball goes to the other team. So, whereas in American football, if you catch the ball and then run out of bounds, your team still keeps the ball. So that's another huge difference.
The ball is then thrown exactly in the middle of the two lines of players. The player who can jump the highest, and they may also be lifted by their teammates, can catch the ball or tap it to their scrum half. With possession of the ball, they can continue with the game.
You can also steal lineouts if you're the other team as well. You can jump up and contest it. You'll see some of their guys jumping up to try and get it as well, see?
What's fun about rugby is that you can stop players by tackling them. But you can only tackle a player who is in possession of the ball, and you are only allowed to use your hands, arms and body. You can grab the player with the ball anywhere except their neck and head. You are absolutely forbidden to kick them. If you do that, the referee will send you off the field immediately. The best way to tackle a player is to hold them around their waist or legs so that they fall.
Good tackle. It's just all about getting them around the thighs, man, between the knees and the hips.
Situations, a maul and a ruck. During these game formations, players often make a foul, so a referee has to intervene. But what is a maul and a ruck? Suppose a player carrying the ball runs into a player who wants to tackle them, but instead of falling to the ground, they remain standing. Players of both teams will immediately join this formation, and the ball is somewhere in the middle. This setting is called a maul. The player with the ball will try to turn their back on their opponents and make the ball available for their teammates. If the maul takes too long, the referee will decide for a scrum.
The maul doesn't actually happen that often. It's not like a really common occurrence. What is much more common is the ruck, which is about to be explained after this. Because generally when people are tackled, they fall over. It's not that often that they stay standing. But it does happen. See how the white team is holding him up there, not allowing him to fall over?
A ruck is formed after the player with the ball is tackled and the players fall to the ground.
This is probably what you guys see more often.
During this moment in the game, two very important rules come into play. The player who made the tackle must let go of the player who was tackled, and the player who was tackled must release the ball immediately. Players of both teams will bind as a unit with each other over the ball and try to win the ball with their feet and by pushing back the opposing players.
I'll pause it after this example and just explain stuff to you. Okay. Yeah, I'll rewind this. Okay, that's often the most confusing part of rugby for people, is like, what is going on after they tackle them. Okay, so see how this guy here has come in and tackled this guy around the leg. He's pulled him down, and if you just see this guy here in the white team on the right hand side, see what he does when he comes in. Oh, sorry, he's just there. See how he's just about to, see how you heard before, she said that you have to, this person who was just got tackled and he's on the ground, he has to release the ball straight away. He doesn't just have to take his hands off or whatever, he can push it right back out towards his teammates, so it's easier for them to get it. But what this guy here is trying to do, if you're the first arriver, if you're the first arriving player to a tackled player who's been on the ground, you are allowed to try and come down like this and bend over and try and cover the ball up and stop the player from releasing it. So you can hold his arms, you can hold, the ball, you can hold anything you can to just stop him from releasing it. And if you cover him for long enough, then you win the ball back, basically. The referee will award a penalty and it will be called not releasing the ball. But the only thing is that this player here who is covering the ball, he has to always be supporting his own body weight. He can't lean on the guy on the ground, he can't put his knee on the floor, so he has to set a really firm foundations with his legs coming down like that on either side. And at the same time, I'm not sure if it shows straight here, straight after this, but you might see a couple of these green guys coming and just running in and trying to smash him off his feet, which is perfectly legal. You're allowed to do that. And he's got his head down as well, so he's probably not seeing them coming, but you're allowed to just come in. You can't. But the other thing is if you're on the green team here, you're not allowed to come in from the side and push him over on the side like that. You can only come in from the front and try and knock him backwards, back onto his bum. So you'll see that now probably. See, they both try and come in. and smash that guy off the ball, and they keep possession of the ball. So that's what you'll see after almost every tackle in a rugby game.
Several ways to be offside. The most common way is during a maul, when players are struggling to gain possession of the ball. During this formation, the ball forms an invisible line across the field. This is the gain line. If you pass this line, you are offside, and the other team will get a penalty kick. Though rugby is a physical and sometimes rough sport, a rugby player, even at the top of their game, has respect for their opponent, and certainly for the referee. Whatever the referee decides, you never contest their decision.
Yeah, I've always noticed
After
that,
every game, you pay your respects to your opponents, but also to the referee, by applauding for them and shout, "Hurrah!" when they leave the field.
I've noticed that too, like whatever the referee says is like absolute like law. You don't, like, I mean, I've hardly ever seen any professional rugby players question the referee whatsoever. Like, it's like, as soon as they blow the whistle and make the call, you stand up and run back, because, okay, that's another thing I didn't really explain, is that if you get a penalty for whatever, the other team has to backtrack and give you 10 metres of room. So as soon as you start the game, you know, then they can run forward and close that 10 metre gap, but you can't just start at exactly the same, you know, you'll never see them starting like that. You'll see them having a 10 metre gap, and then they have to like line up in a straight line basically, and nobody can go across that. Often you'll see the referee blow the penalty and then run 10 metres and stand there, and then all of the players on the penalised team have to stand in line with him. And so, yeah, I think that pretty much covers that. But yeah, I mean, like, the referee, like, if you look at soccer or football, I mean, those guys, like, they yell and scream and, like, you know, throw their toys out of their cot, and they just have the biggest meltdown if, you know, something isn't called their way. And it's such a huge difference. I haven't really noticed it too much in American football. I mean, sometimes they're like asking for flags and stuff like that, but other than that, I mean, I've been pretty impressed with the American football players too. They kind of generally just, you know, they kind of just deal with what the umpires or the refs are doing, you know, are calling. So yeah.
Hopefully this animated explanation will help you to enjoy watching rugby even more. So all you boys and girls out there, if you'd like to play rugby yourself, go on the internet and find a rugby club near you. It's possible to start playing rugby even when you're just 5 years old. They will coach you so that you can play safely and really enjoy the fantastic game of rugby.
Okay, so yeah, and an interesting little fact is actually soccer is the #1 sport here in New Zealand for kids under like a certain age. I think it might be 8 or 9 or something. But then as soon as they start to gain a bit more weight, gain a bit more confidence, you know, the majority of them all start shifting into rugby, because I mean the dream of being an All Black is, you know, is probably the #1 childhood dream in New Zealand, by a mile. And also I think it's got a lot to do with like parents, you know, they don't want that, you know, they're just out for the safety of their kids and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully that can shed a bit more light on some of the basic stuff, you know, that you know, the rules of rugby and just the general objective of you know, how to win the game. And you know, then of course, much like football, you can go really deep into all the tactics and the different positions, and you know, all the different ways that you can, you know, play against certain different teams, and you know, which country is good at this and which country is good at that. So that's it, guys. Please smash the like button. You know, let me know what you guys want for episode 3. If you want another legend of the game, or you know, if you want me to do like cover a certain team or a certain, you know, country or a certain type of, you know, maybe rugby sevens or rugby league, you know, just let me know, guys, and whatever is the most highly requested, you know, topic of rugby, I will I'll try and put that into the next episode. But also, you know, rugby season also just started 3 days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, so this weekend. Yeah, was it last weekend or this week? I'm pretty sure it was this weekend. And so I think if you guys want me to share some highlights with you of some of the games, that, you know, then you know, I don't mind doing that for you guys. Or if you guys want me to just like go through, you know, who has the, you know, who's the, like maybe just the table or the ladder, you know, to show you the standings. It's with Super Rugby. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'll make it a separate video where I explain to you the Super Rugby competition, and I'll break it down into like all the teams and all the different you know, divisions and how the playoffs work and who's won the most finals and stuff like that. So yeah, I think I'll make that one of the next videos. So anyway, there you have it, guys. Please smash the like button. You know, let me know what you liked and what you didn't like about this video, and if you have any questions about the game that weren't covered in this video, then ask them in the comments, and I'll definitely get around to answering you. And yeah, that's it, guys. I love your comments. Please keep them coming, and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later.